You're listening to Parasearch Radio, news, views and reviews from the world of the paranormal from across the UK and beyond. Find us on Facebook, Twitter and the World Wide Web. The views and opinions expressed by presenters and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Parasearch Radio or their affiliates and sponsors. Listener discretion is advised.
And good evening and welcome to the Thursday night show on PSH Radio. My name's Carl Hutchinson. I normally joined, my dulcet tones don't normally come in this early, but my co-host Sam, she's actually ill at the moment. So I'm winging it on my own. I've got if need be, because my throat is sort of a little bit rough at the moment. So I do have Kerry in the background running the studio for me. So if my dulcet tone will give up, you'll hear Kerry's. So yes, we're back Thursday night, 9 o'clock. We've got this amazing guest. We've spoken to these guys before. While they were on their road trip around America. So we want to bring them back because we had such a good time last time speaking to them. So we are joined this evening by the Reaps. And that's Bill, are you there?
I am here.
How are you doing?
We're doing great. Chris and I are just sitting here. We're in honor of talking with you, she's baking me scones.
Oh, cool. You obviously, if you're doing scones, are you doing anything with them, or are you just eating them with butter and stuff like that?
I'm gonna make some Devonshire cream.
Okay. So what you've got to remember, you put the cream on first, then the jam, not the other way around. Because if you did that in the UK, you'd get shot.
I don't want to get shot.
No, you don't want to get. They get so picky in the way you put your cream and your jam on your scones over here. But yeah, sounds good. I'm just drinking plenty of water just to get this throat working again. So last time we were speaking to you guys, you were tootling around the lovely America in your RV, because we spoke to you when you were outside. How was the rest of your road trip? What did you get up to? Where did you go after we last spoke?
It was absolutely amazing, so much so that we will be doing it full time. We're moving out of our house and into a bigger RV. So.
And what, you're going to just be literally just tootling around the whole of the country?
Looking for those paranormal gems.
Chasing ghosts coast to coast.
Wow. Now, what that sound, because I know we didn't actually get a chance to meet up, but when I was in Vegas back in September, you guys just turned up in Vegas, hadn't you? And we never got.
Now, did we talk to you before or after Vegas? We talked to you before Vegas, right?
Yeah, it was, I think we spoke to you like 6 or 7 weeks before.
Okay, so
before we were going to Vegas,
I think.
Yeah. You were heading off to do an investigation. Where were you going? Yes. Yeah.
Sister
That
Tia.
was amazing.
They had really good scones.
Oh, some of the best I've had, and I've had them in Ireland.
Yeah, but no, we had a blast. We hit so many really cool locations. We put how many miles on?
17,000 miles.
Wow.
In 6 months.
How long were you away for?
6 months.
6 months and you did 17,000 miles.
Yes.
That's some going. That's touring big time.
That was insanity. This time we're going to be more leisurely because we're going to be living in it.
I was going to say, yeah. But yeah,
take the time and see the sights and investigate what there is to investigate. And when we feel like we've seen enough for the time being, we'll move on and do it again somewhere else and keep doing that until we've seen everything.
Yep.
And when do you foresee yourself starting that part of the amazing life.
Well, no, you want to know the amazing part, Carl?
What's that?
Guess how many miles I drove of that 17,000?
No, I don't know whether that's a catch-20. That's catch-22. It's going to be like I'm going to say like 15,000, or is it going to be you didn't do any and Christina did all of them?
I drove probably 20, maybe 22 miles.
Not with the camper.
You did 22 miles?
Yep.
But not with the camper.
I am like a puppy dog looking out the window.
He's my number one. He is my navigator.
Okay. So how big was the RV again? It looked pretty big when I spoke to you.
Well, it was 29 foot total.
20 foot indoor in living space.
Yeah.
And we just bought a 40 foot with 38 of living space.
Okay, so that is a big old RV.
Yes, it is. We can't. Yeah, we went down on Wednesday and Tuesday.
Did all the paperwork.
And as soon as that is all complete, we'll be heading back out on the road in the new.
Well, we'll be living in PA for a little bit while things wrapped up and taken care of and the house situated.
And loading that up and getting ready to go.
Have you got an idea where your first sort of stop's going to be, or is it you're going to be touring the convention circuit?
Well, we got some conventions to do, and we have some investigations to do. So it's kind of a mix.
Okay.
Yes. And my sister's running a couple marathons that we're going to try.
Yeah, we're going to try to make and see some family while we're going as well. And
there's actually an investigation before we're on the road that we can't get out there fast enough, so we may fly out to out in California.
Okay. And what's that? Are you allowed to talk about, or is it a private case?
It's a private thing at the moment that we can't discuss just yet.
No,
but it's going to be amazing, and I believe we will be doing some Facebook Live with that one.
Yeah, well, just let us know, and we'll promote it on the radio, and we'll definitely have you on when you come around. It'll be like our regular stop in just to see how you guys are doing on your road trip. So yeah, just let us know where you are, and we'll promote every possible chance we give, and just let everybody know how your trip's going in on your next stage of your amazing adventure.
Yeah, it's been amazing, and we got some of the circuit stuff. Like we're going up to Rochester in about 2 weeks.
Yes,
Rochester, New York to Winter Parasearch, and we'll be hitting the Avon Inn and doing some investigating there, like we did last time, which is a cool place.
And this time, I don't have a broken leg.
No,
that's always a bonus, isn't it?
Yes.
And then we're off to Shanley Hotel in New York the following weekend after that.
Yeah.
Chris Saunders was telling me about that. You guys investigated there together as part of your road trip, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was part of the road trip, but we're going back to help them. They're doing a little fundraiser to help restore that historic building. So we're gonna stop back and we're gonna investigate, and we have some new equipment we want to try out, and we're gonna have a good time.
Cool. So, any other conventions that you'd be doing?
We'll be going up to Maine, and of course we can't wait to get back to Vulture City in Arizona in October.
Yeah.
That place was amazing, and we're going to get to hang out with Mark Avrilla and see Mark out there, and Johnny Zaffis is going to be out there.
Yeah, that I must admit, I was talking to Mark via Messenger a couple of weeks ago, and he was saying that looks like like you said, it's an amazing lineup with old John there as well, and obviously Mark as well, and obviously I think you guys are obviously talking as well.
Yeah, we're out there. Michelle LeBaron, of course, Jay and Marie Yates, who put it together. They're awesome.
Mm-hmm.
They really put together a very incredible lineup. this year. Last year, we were, blessed to be out there. We spent a week on the property.
It was amazing.
Oh my gosh. That absolutely has to be one of the most active locations we have ever been in a very, very long, long time. I don't know if you saw the video that we posted from there of the door of the brothel being slammed in my face.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I did see that. What we'll do after the show, we'll post it on the website just so people can see what we're talking about. I must admit, I did watch that, and I was like, wow.
Yeah, I was like, wow.
Do you want to tell? Obviously, for people that haven't seen it and our listeners and stuff like that, do you want to just give a bit of background about it and just talk us through what actually happened?
Yeah, we were at Vulture City, which is a actual working gold mine and part of the property, but it's a historic location in Wickensburg, Arizona, and the people who own it did a phenomenal job restoring the buildings throughout the property. They've kind of condensed it and made a little town. So they moved some of the buildings. And beautiful, beautiful place. And there was a brothel on the property. Of course, you got to keep the workers happy. Absolutely. And a doctor's office all in one, which I found very interesting. Brothel and doctor. But we were there and we were standing outside, and it was Chris, Michelle LeBaron, and Rhonda.
Michelle was inside, and Rhonda were inside.
We were all outside at the time.
Oh.
We were all standing out, like the hitching post for horses?
Yeah.
Yep, we were leaning there, and we were just chatting. And the door closed while we were standing outside. And we were like, what was that? Is somebody in the house? Because, we were like, that's kind of odd.
That was before the initial.
So we went in to see who was in the house.
Yeah.
And there was nobody in the house. So we were trying to get it to see if it was what caused it. Was there a window open? Was there a breeze? Was there somebody, moving through and they closed the door, whatever. And we went in, there was nobody in the house. So we kind of closed off that room so that there was no, make sure the windows were closed, the door was closed. And while we were standing there, I asked the spirit, can you close that door again? And it did. Mm-hmm. And there's two videos. There's one with that mist shot, which actually shows a white light moving towards the door as it closes.
That's the one I saw.
Yeah, and it's just absolutely blew us away. I mean, there was no wind. At that time, there was probably 3-4 of us in that room trying to make sure that, and nobody was near the door. And the door didn't close, not once, not the 2 times, but the door closed 3 times in that building.
Third time it slammed so hard, it latched itself closed.
And that's when I stepped out. And I said, if you want me out of here, I'll leave. And when I went out, as soon as I went out the door slammed shut and latched. And I said the line, I guess I'm not welcome in the brothel anymore. And but it was just a phenomenal location. The night before, we were out on the property at the what was a jail in Wickensburg's home on the property. And we caught some great EVPs in there the night before. It's just an incredible location. It was like going to a location and actually having it wake up. Yeah. There was nobody in that property for at least 100 years.
Yeah, 100 years.
That there was
using the buildings and actually kind of being a community. And with everyone arriving, the more people arrived, the more the town woke up and started bustling and becoming curious as to all these living who have come into the town. It was like, when there's a boom in gold and all of a sudden everyone rushes to that place, the town starts picking up and becoming lively. That's kind of what it was like. walking through there as people arrived. That energy just started picking up. It was absolutely amazing. Probably one of the most physically active locations I've been to.
Yes.
And you were physically staying in your RV on the property for about a week. You were saying,
yeah. And it was really cool, Carl. They had one of the pool cars, set up. The ramp and the whole thing was out there. And in the one morning, we were just sitting out there having coffee, and we could hear that clank, 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 like the cart being moved. It just was outstanding. I can't wait to be back there again, and being out there with Johnny and everybody else. It's going to be a real blast.
I must admit, I must admit, when I've looked at it, it just looked. For me, it's what I describe as the proper, as in the UK, think of the Wild West.
Yes. Absolutely.
It just looks like a proper like ranch that you would see. Like we'd expect to see a load of ranch hands, and obviously the community, and obviously, like you say, brothel, jail, all rolled into one proper spit and sawdust little town.
Absolutely.
I think what helped add to some of the energy of the location is we have a whole bunch of people wandering around at night where we have things that literally want to kill us and eat us. You've got mountain lions running around. You've got coyotes running around, tarantulas, rattlesnakes, the Arizona
coral
snake, scorpions. And so everyone's kind of on edge about these different things being around, and you're watching out for these things and flashing your flashlight everywhere. And, the one morning we saw a Gila monster.
Yeah.
About 15 yards from the camper. We got back to the camper after the investigation, and Mike Casey stepped on a tarantula by accident. One wandered across our mat. 10 feet away, we found a coral snake. So it was an interesting all-around investigation and stay.
Sadly, I think you're not selling me on the. I'm all right with the spirits. It's the stuff that I'm not a big fan of snakes.
Right.
I'm not a bit. No. I'm not a big fan of snakes. Scorpions I can handle, because obviously it's the scorpions with the smaller sting that the more dangerous. They've got a bigger sting. They're not that dangerous.
Well, I was really surprised because of all the things out there that I kept waiting to come across, and how am I going to react? I never saw them. I mean, in the morning, the dogs have this long, squeaky snake. It's big, it's heavy, and the dogs play with it. In the morning, I would throw it out of the camper to the bottom of the steps, figuring if something was under the camper, it would attack it or take off before I would step out the door.
Yeah, okay. Maybe I might give that one a miss. Yeah. I think I might just. I'll stick to like Salem and Vegas and
you didn't even think about it while you were out there.
No, that's probably true. Once you're in the moment and you've got something you're doing and you're focusing, I suppose that's like anywhere. Because you probably don't even focus. It's only when your mind suddenly goes, oh, not like, what's that? And you hear the noises, but
right,
quite. I must admit, I when Mark mentioned to me, and obviously we messaged and stuff, and he was saying about, I had a look at Vulture City, and I was just like, I was blown away. One, by the location, and then two, by the lineup with yourselves, Mark and Johnny, and obviously the other guys that were on there as well. So that's a good convention. There's I think there's tickets still available. So anybody listening this side or that side, fancy heading out to a ghost town, get involved in that.
Absolutely. It's a lot of fun.
So, are you speaking at any other conventions? Have you got any other things sorted out at the moment? Any other amazing locations that you're talking at?
We're speaking up in Maine at Chris Sanders' event in June.
Yeah.
And then we're off to Detroit area for Rebecca Smuck has an event going on that we're going to stop by and speak there.
Are you going to be? You're going to make it up to Michigan Con in August?
We're going to attempt to make it.
Okay. Well, if you do, I'll finally be able to buy you that drink.
Oh, awesome!
Because I'm going to be I'm going to be there. Obviously, MJ's talking at that one. So yeah, Brad's putting on an absolutely amazing convention. Yeah, it's like the who's who of the paranormal, literally. So I'll be there in August. So if you do make it up there in your RV,
it is on the route that we're going, because we're kind of heading across the north of the United States in this beginning until we hit the West Coast and then down into Arizona and then Texas towards winter, and try to stay warm rather than come back to the cold like we did this year.
Yeah, so basically following the heat round.
And I'm pretty sure probably Vegas again.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to sort that out. I'm just thinking I don't at this moment. I don't think I'm going to be making it out of Vegas this year, unless something comes up and I just can't. I just have to go. But I've got a few other things I'm doing. So obviously we met for the first time at Salem.
Yes.
Yeah.
Salem's obviously not happening this year, but is returning in 2021. Back at Salem in April, going back to really kicking off the convention season, really.
Yes.
It's obviously you guys have you been there since year one of Salem?
Yep, since the beginning. We love it. Salem Con is amazing.
Yeah. And Salem
we're going to miss it this year.
I know. It's going to be quite strange not to have Salem on the circuit, but
we were talking to Mark a couple of weeks ago about that. Chris and I and the guest on our show. It's odd not having Salem Con.
But it's like I say, it's definitely coming back in 2021. And I can guarantee that Mark and the team and Laura would put on a great convention again, as they always do. They work so hard, and obviously it's going to be back at the Hawthorne Hotel, which, in my eyes, is amazing. It's like you walk around the Hawthorne Hotel at night, and it just comes to life. It just comes to life in so many different ways.
No, we love Salem Con.
Cool. So just to go back, the obviously people that have been listening, and obviously that we spoke to you when you were doing your other tour, which you've recently come back from. And we were talking about equipment, and you were saying you were going to be road testing some equipment out on a couple of investigations going forwards, which you were going to, which was one of the reasons we wanted to get you back. How did those tests go? Did it work? Did you get anything interesting from it?
We used one piece of equipment that it reminds me kind of an octopus. It reaches out into different spaces, and there's a central hub, and the hub lights up different colors as to which extension was set off by movement or by EMF. Mm-hmm. And we had some really interesting results with that when we had someone near the one extension and was like, there's something drama. They're like, there's someone next to me, and that color was lighting up. And as they said it, it lit up. And what's really neat is you can run the pieces into different rooms. So you can set the central and run this extensions into the doorways of different rooms. And as long as you can see that centerpiece, you know where there's activity going. So you can go towards where that's happening.
So basically, you've got the central hub. You run different areas from it, as long as you've got a line of sight, and it lights up different colours to indicate where it's picking up changes in the environment.
Yes, like let's say we were sitting in the dining area.
Yeah,
and there was 4 rooms off of the dining area. We could run a lead into each one, and by the color, we would know which room was having activity.
Okay. So you can basically monitor all areas, or say on the ground floor, from one location, and then you can basically use that device to then target where you go and do your your say an EVP session or photographs or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm. And you said you've had some good results with it?
Yes, we had some great results. Some validation on it when, validation more so in my case, it was when one of us who are sensitives were communicating with the spirit, and that would light up. Mm. So it was kind of a validation of I'm feeling and I'm sensing this spirit, and that thing lights up. It's kind of like, see, there they are, So it was nice. It's always nice to have the validation.
Absolutely.
And other equipment working in conjunction at Bel Air.
Yeah, we used it at the Bel Air House, which was part of the spiritualist movement. And we seance in the seance room.
Yeah.
And set it up so that it was behind each of the mediums. And it was a great way to be validation. Like Chris said, it was just phenomenal. It's a great piece.
And other equipment was validating. We have REM pods going off and static domes going off at the same time. So it was a really good piece of equipment. I would definitely recommend, if you can get your hands on one, definitely get one and use it.
Well, yeah. Send me some after the show. Send me the information on it, because that sounds quite interesting. That sounds like something I'd like to do a bit of testing on, because that sounds very, very interesting. Yeah. So when you say you were putting it, when you were doing the seance, you were putting it behind the mediums, were you just looking to see if a medium picked up that it would go off?
Yes.
So you were trying to basically validate what the medium was saying by activity around the medium.
Right.
Yes.
That is, I think that's brilliant, because you are using technology to validate mediumship, really, because obviously me not being a medium, they're saying something to me, but if I had a bit of equipment which would indicate that there was something going on in the environment around that person, and you were getting hits on that while they were saying stuff, that... Right. And obviously, like you said, you're having other bits of equipment going off, which I always think is more interesting anyway, because it's great having validation off one bit of equipment, but if you're having multiple bits of equipment reacting at the same time, I think that's more interesting.
Well, it's something you try to, rule out everything, and, and as long as we've been doing this, and, Chris, because she's so much younger than I am, picks on me all the time and says my first EVP was a bird in a stone, chipping away on a stone. So, I'm still skeptical when we go in to a lot of places. And, just because people say it's haunted, to me, doesn't mean it's haunted.
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
There's so many locations, because paratourism has become a real thing. There's so many locations that kind of fabricate some of what, the history, etc.
Well, let's also, on that same note, let's also look at the places we've gone that are haunted, and many people have experienced things, and we go in and get nothing.
Sure.
But we go back another time and we get all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Or the first time we get all kinds of stuff, and the next time nothing. It just because it happens this night or that night doesn't mean you're going to go in the next time and it's going to happen.
Absolutely. And I do the scenario that they're not performing monkeys. They could be having an off night. If they don't want to play, they're not going to play. Other nights they could be in a playful mood. So I agree with you on that 100%. And I think one of the other things that you mentioned when you said about paranormal tourism, I think that's a major factor at the moment, because obviously there's a lot of interest in the paranormal. I've seen more interest in the paranormal over the last couple of years due to television. Which I'm not saying is a bad thing, because it's bringing new blood into the industry, into the field. And I think that's good, because you're getting new ideas, you're getting new perspective on stuff. And it doesn't matter whether you've been doing it 50 years or 5 minutes. It just takes one idea from somebody to change somebody's thoughts by thinking, well, I've never thought about that. I'm going to possibly try that. And I think that's brilliant. But sorry?
Yeah, it's one of the things I love when we do a public event. It's the newbies, those who have never been on an investigation, and they're asking questions. Because I don't know how many times someone has asked me a question, and they're going to say, this sounds stupid, but what if? And I go, you know what? Let's try that. Let's see what happens, or let's expand on that, because it was something that I hadn't thought of. Now, we've been in this field a few minutes, and sometimes, you go in and you're like, you just feel like you're doing nothing because you've done it over and over and over again, and you don't feel like you're really doing anything new. So sometimes you just feel stagnant, like, what am I doing? And then someone says something that triggers a new thought, a new way of looking at something, and all of a sudden it's back to full bore. Okay, now what?
Right. And it's important to listen, and it's important to go back multiple times to locations, for the validation process.
Absolutely.
I believe there's two types of individuals in the paranormal. There's paranormal investigators, and there's ghost hunters.
Yeah.
The ghost hunters are out there just for the weekend, for the thrill, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's great. Go for it. It's a great way to learn the industry, learn the ins and out of the paranormal. Go to a reputable group, whether you're in the UK or in the US, and let them teach you and ask questions and go to these things. And they're great, and hit the cons and the conventions and talk to the speakers, and you'll get that first person perspective. But, then you have the investigator side where, you're looking for, you want to know, is it going to happen again? Am I going to do the same thing?
How's this equipment work? Why does it work?
Right. And that's more, what we do. I mean, we still do a lot of residential cases. Yeah, we're out on the circuit. We do the cons, and we do a lot of speaking, and we're blessed, and we love doing it. But our real passion is out there trying to find answers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, we really enjoy finding these places that really nobody has done, or very few have done, and use those as, experiments and testing grounds, and do different things in different locations, and then try to, match them when we come back through and redo them. And that's, that's important. There's a lot of different things you could do.
Exactly. We have exactly the same. We have several locations in the UK which I've investigated, where one night it can be completely and utterly flat, nothing's really happening. You get a little bit of activity and you just walk away and you just think, yeah, okay, fair enough. And then other times you go back and it's a completely different atmosphere. It's a completely different feeling in there. I think that also can come down to the people actually going in there, having the right energy, the right upbeatness going in. Because like everybody in this field has good days and they have bad days. And I think sometimes you potentially can go into a location when you're not having a good day and your energy's just a little bit off, and you just feel you're just going through the motions, etc., aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
One of my favorites is when we can be at a location for a number of nights continuously. You know, and there aren't enough of those locations. Ideally, I'd love to be in a location for a month at a time and do investigations almost every night and change it up. You know, we do 3 this week, or we do just the weekend, or we do just during the week, during the day, and change up the times and spend a month doing that and comparing data at different times of day, different days of the week, different moon phases, and spend that much time. We were at
Hinsdale
House. We have been so many places. I don't know where I am at the moment. We were at Hinsdale House, and the first night we were okay. This is okay. There's some energy. Yep, definitely. You know, you can feel the watchers in the woods, and you can feel the energy around you and energy in the house. But okay, whatever. Nothing real impressive. Not, you know, we heard how scary this is and how off the hook it is, and it was kind of, okay. It's definitely got something, but not like it was described. And then the next day, partway through the day, all of a sudden everything changed, and it was like, okay, now I'm going to show you what I can do, bitches.
Yeah, it went like Sesame Street to Nightmare on Elm Street.
Those are the sort of things that happen that I just think fascinate me more, because like you said, if you can go back to a property more than once and you can get this kind of the same activity, or at different times, like you said, different times, different phases, etc., that I think that sort of validates the location for me, that you're doing that. And like you say, you can go on there on a good day and it's nothing, but then you can flip it on a sixpence, and the location can just turn up and bite you on the bum.
Yes.
Yeah. So Hinsdale House is a location that I know that there's quite a few people over here have seen and heard of. It's on my bucket list to do. My bucket list over the years gets bigger and bigger with locations in America. After talking to people like yourselves.
It's like, here, it's a pull list.
Yeah.
It's not a bucket.
Yeah, it's turning into it used to be like a 4-bit of paper. Now it's like a binder now. But yeah, but
love the Hinsdale House.
Yeah. I've spoken to quite a few people that have done Hinsdale House, from yourselves to Frank Sinelli and all that sort of stuff, and Richard Eastep. He's done it a few times, and he was saying that place can just, like you said earlier, can just turn on a sixpence. It can just, like you say, can turn round. It can go from 1 minute being nice as pie to taking on a completely different atmosphere.
Yes.
Have you got any theories on why that is?
Well, I think the house, there's two sides to the house, and that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
There is that peaceful side in the history, and then there's the tragedy side.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the house, depending on your mindset, definitely, like, we were very complacent there.
Mm-hmm.
And complacency in the paranormal is not a good thing.
Nope.
And the house said, okay, we showed you the nice side. Now we're gonna ramp it up because you're not expecting it. And it was crazy. I mean, that morning, I mean, I went outside in the morning there's like a small little pond next to the house with a little bench there. Now, we were out shooting B-roll out there the day before, and, sat on the bench and everything, went out there, and there was a rose on the bench when we got out there in the morning.
Mm.
Now, this is at a dead end dirt road, nothing around you, nobody in or out. So, I mean, if anybody, nobody could just come in and like put a rose there.
Motion sensor lights
outside, the whole thing. So, it's a very secure location. And
there was a fresh cut, unwilted rose on the bench that morning. No explanation as to how it got there.
Wow.
We did do some research and found that a woman had drowned. Woman or child? A child had drowned in the pond.
Okay.
Now, there's also a lot of Native American history on that land. And one of the first impressions when arriving at the house, we pull up and get out of the car, and the first impression is you're being watched. And you start scanning the edge of the tree line around the property, and you can feel the watchers all lined up along the edge of the woods. And they're watching. They're protecting the property. They're watching to see what you're doing. And I think part of it is with activity is spirit needs to, so many places the first time there you get very little. The more you go, the more activity you get, the more responses you get. I think spirit, just like people, just like when living, need time to
get to know you.
Yep. And sometimes it goes in with really bad energy, and the spirits are like, yep, no, we're not messing with this energy. And so, we could go in one night with this one group over and over, get activity every single time, bring in a new person, and that activity level could stop immediately, either because it's a new energy or it's an energy they feel is no good.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. That makes sense to me. I think that's that comes back to locations that get investigated, and the groups going into the location and the way they hold themselves. I think there are some groups out there that potentially do not investigate in the correct manner, show no respect.
I kind of agree with Chris on energy, that, spirit, I mean, everything is energy, so spirits pick up on energy. And spirit knows we're coming way before we're even there. They know who we are. And, it was interesting. Vulture City, for how active it was. Okay. We talked to Sherry Domenico, because Sherry was out there with us last year, Mish, and a couple others, and they were in different locations. And there was one person who was going from building to building. And when that person entered the building, you could have like a full body apparition. I'm exaggerating right there. Mm-hmm. And that person would walk in and it would disappear. They'd walk out and it'd come back.
Yeah.
Even like activity would just stop when this person would come in. And it was just this one person. And we all, at the end of the night, we were sitting talking because we were all in different locations the night of the public event. And we were like, hey, we were getting great activity. And then so-and-so came in and they're like, oh yeah, that same thing happened to us. So it's kind of weird, that one person can affect a location so much.
Yeah, we call them, well, I call them over here, but I call them blockers, paranormal blockers, because I've done many a public investigation, and you can normally tell off the bat who these sort of people are going to be. And like you say, you can be having great activity, and as soon as they walk in, it'll just stop literally just stop. So I think obviously that's similar to what you guys get in the States. We have that sort of over in the UK as well.
I also believe that when you go to very public locations that people have spoken about so much, and you've seen them on the television shows or whatever, and you finally get the opportunity to investigate there, and you focus on that one area because when I saw it on TV, this is what happened, and you're watching this corner, and behind you, like, plates are dancing and chairs are spinning, and you miss it because you're focused in on that other area. And sometimes those that activity was just for that person.
Yep.
So you need to look at the whole room, and we're always looking at different ways to do things.
Yeah, we were having a discussion at the weekend and about people who video when they go on a public investigation, and they're literally just looking at that small viewfinder, and that's their safety blanket, because if they focus on that, they're not going to have any. Then they feel safe. And what I said to people at the weekend was, why don't you just video away, but don't look at that. Start taking in what the sounds. Start taking in the darkness that we're there. Don't concentrate on that video screen. And a few of them tried it, and they were like, they then were picking up on other things like noises and feelings. And a couple of people just couldn't do it because that was their safety blanket. That video screen was their safety blanket.
Yeah, and a lot of people use that. Absolutely, I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah, and I think that it's very interesting, and like you say about the different types of energy. And I always say, if you've got the right energy, it doesn't matter whether you're there 10 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning or whatever. If you've got the right energy, day or night, you're gonna have a good time.
Exactly, and we investigate at night. Why? Because your senses are heightened, and you're reducing one sense to heighten the others. And that's why we do it. It's not. There's no activity during the day. I mean, my gosh, we've caught so many really great things. We investigated one location. We did a museum, and the people who own the museum, and this was just a private thing for us. Yeah. And we went into the museum and went through the museum, and it was a very, very cool museum. And we did some videography and stuff while we were in there. And as we were walking through with the curators and owners of this museum, they're like, we don't believe in what you do. So we want to debunk you while you're investigating. And you're going to investigate with the lights on. And we're like, okay. And you don't have a problem with that? No. And we caught some phenomenal evidence in there. EVPs that left them that they couldn't even understand or explain. And, they had experiences while we were there. And, it was kind of funny because they're like, oh, we don't believe in this. And then at the end of the night, we're sitting there chatting with them. And they're like, well, this one time we came in and the bathroom sink in the bathroom was upside down. How does that happen? Or, we hear this cat meowing all the time and there's no cat in here. Or we've seen a shadow of like a cat. Yeah. Just different things that they've had happen, in there. And then they became a little bit more open to kind of talk about the experience. But,
Yeah, it, like we say, it comes down to trust as well, isn't it? It's and if you don't trust the people that you're either investigating or the people around you at the time, your energy is going to be slightly off.
Yes,
because you're concentrating more on external factors than what you should be doing. So you're not in that right mind frame, etc. So I completely agree with you on that front. That especially about like investigating during the day. Like you say, there are reasons behind why most people investigate at night. One, it's like you say, replacing one sense. Two, depending on the location might be open for normal business hours, so you can't get in there during the day. Two, it's going to be less quiet. It's going to be more quiet at night. And the other part of it is obviously we're trying to capture stuff, and you've got like night vision, and you've got all these different other full spectrum cameras, etc., which you can use during the day, but they work better at night. So there's all these other factors. It's like friends of mine that know I am a paranormal investigator ask me, well, why are you always at night? And 9 times out of 10, my first answer to them is the locations aren't. You can sort of cut out a lot of outside elements that you would have in the daytime. Traffic's a lot less at night time. There's not less people wandering around, outside noises, etc. So I think because of TV, a lot of people think, oh, you can only ghost hunt, or you can only do whatever you want to call, whatever you call it, whether you say it's a ghost hunt, a scare night, or whatever you do, your vocabulary puts it down to. Everybody thinks because they see it on TV, you only can investigate at night.
Yes. And one of the things we've started doing with our public investigations is we used to turn out all the lights, and, because people are coming and paying money to be on an investigation. And REAP is research, education, and awareness of the paranormal. So our event is to educate as much as it is for them to have a good time and raise money for a location.
Yeah.
So one of the things we've started doing is part of the investigation is info light, so that they can see that, yes, you can get activity and you can have things happen even with the lights on.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the big thing here, like as you were saying, is these people who walk around with video cameras, and there's no problem with walking around video and as you're investigating. But like you said, taking the whole picture. I mean, just have fun, take pictures, just click pictures. Some of the best evidence you'll ever capture is when you're not even thinking about it.
Yeah.
And you're not paying attention. And that's when spirit sometimes shows itself to you. So, if you feel like you want to take a picture of something, take a picture. Take 4 or 5 pictures.
We'll ignore spirit, and we'll just have conversations and joke around with the equipment running, and all of a sudden you start getting stuff going off and responses on your EVPs when you're ignoring them.
Yeah.
And there's like, wait a minute, you're here to see us.
Right.
Exactly. They're going, hang on. We want to get involved in the conversation. We're here. Why are you ignoring us? So yeah, I completely like. I always say you have to be able to have a good time. You have to be able to have a laugh. You have to have that. You have to what we call in the UK banter. You have to have that banter in the group, because you can easily, particularly if you go to public investigations, you can be nervous because you expecting the Hollywood, you're expecting the pea soup and your head turning around and levitation and all this sort of stuff. So people are nervous when they go into it. So you've got to make them relaxed.
Yeah,
exactly.
And particularly at night time, when you turn those lights off, people will suddenly, especially newbies, will suddenly go into panic mode. So you've got to be able to make them relax, make them laugh. That's the easiest thing to do, is just make them, because as soon as they laugh, they become more relaxed. Their energy then is like more positive. They're not closing themselves off. They're not putting out that energy like they're shutting down. Don't want anything to come anywhere near me. And you're making them relax. You're making them open to it.
Yes. Plus, I always say, I said, when I pass, I'm not going to hang out with the group who's boring. When they're sitting there and, is anyone here? Okay, let's do this, let's do that. I'm going to find the ones who are joking around, having a good time, and I'm going to go hang out with them. I'm going to give EVPs to, because I don't want to hang out with boring groups.
Yeah, and it's just like you say. You describe it as well as like if you walk into a bar and there's no music, everybody's sitting there in silence, nobody's talking. You're going to be going on. Well, I'm not hanging around here, and be on your toes out the door. But if you walk into a bar, there's music, people having a laugh, and there's a good atmosphere, you're going to hang around.
Exactly.
And I think that's a key in spirit as well. I think they hang around because all they are, they're just passed over. Doesn't mean they're not the same as they were when they were living. They like a good time. They like to be interactive and whatever. Yeah, I just think you've just got to. Today,
I'm applauding you. That is awesome. We forget that they're people.
Exactly. They are people. At the end of the day, people say to me, it's like obviously when you say about all of a sudden you get hashtag it's a demon, all this sort of stuff. And I said, well, there are those sort of energies out there, yes. Are you going to meet them every single time like you see on TV? No. At the end of the day, if you're a grumpy so-and-so in life and you're going to swear now, you're pissed off at the world and you don't like people and all this sort of stuff, just because you pass over does not mean it's suddenly going to change the way you look at things. So if you're an angry so-and-so in life, you're going to be an angry so-and-so when you pass over. So you've got to take that into account, especially when people will jump to the conclusion it's off TV, it's going to be a demon, they're going to come and eat my head or whatever. I'm going to get followed home and I'm going to wake up and my bed's spinning around my bedroom and all this sort of stuff. Yes, it can happen, but no, it's not going to happen every time you go on an investigation. Nine times out of 10, you can be sat there and you could sometimes you feel like you're talking to yourself.
Yes.
Nothing's happening.
It's the glamorous life of a paranormal investigator. Watching things.
And to be truthfully honest, Bill, and I wouldn't change it for the world. I love it, and I know you.
I love it.
Yeah, the passion, especially when we were chatting in Salem, you can just see the passion from the pair of you when you talk about it, and that's why I like getting you back on the show as well. Wow, that's coming up for the hour. That has flown by.
Oh wow! Really?
It is. Yeah, we got a couple of minutes.
My guns have come out of the oven. I've made a glaze. I'm about to drizzle on them.
Oh, don't! You're making me hungry. Well, next time I'm in the States, I'm coming for some scones.
Okay.
No, that's cool. As I was saying, we're just coming up to the end of the show. Personal thanks to you guys for coming on. It's always a pleasure, and I love every moment chatting to you guys because it's the passion, because everybody listening to the show can hear the passion, and you've got some great looks at things, which I think is important. And one of the things that you guys like to do is obviously you like to teach and you like to help people, and I think that's what this industry needs more and more and more. Is people like you. So personally, thanks a lot for coming on. Always a pleasure. We'll get you on again, and obviously I'll be talking to you when I get back from New Orleans on your show when the shoe's on the other foot, and you're going to be asking me the questions.
Yes, you'll be on Paranormal Collaboration. I think it's March 23rd, correct?
Yeah, March 23rd. So we'll post the links on that when it's coming up, and any over in the States, people listening to that. Once again, thank you very much. Been a brilliant show.
Feel better.
Yeah. My throat's closing up a little bit. Thanks to everybody in the chat room. We've got obviously Richard, Paul, Andy, James, and everybody else that was in the chat rooms having a good old chatter about stuff. If there's anything that you missed out, we'll post the links how you can follow what Bill and Reap Investigations do, and Christina does as well. So yeah, just get on that. Once again, thank you for listening. We will be back next Thursday. I won't be, because I'm going to be sunning myself in New Orleans. I am back on air tomorrow night on the Dark Mirror Show at 9 o'clock for the light-hearted look at the paranormal. So we'll be on that. Once again, thank you very much. Thank you for listening. I'm not going to do all the bits and bobs about like, subscribe and click and whatever, because Sam does that a lot better than I do. But I will say the book of Parasearch is still available. You can go to Amazon, go and have a look at the works that you guys do, and get your copy of that. It's my reading material for the plane on Saturday. So thank you very much for listening. Always a pleasure, and I'll see you on Friday, and then I will catch up at some point while I'm in New Orleans, and then I'll be back on the show after the 1st of March. So good night. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to join us for more shows throughout the week. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and the World Wide Web to keep up to date with all the shows right here on Parasearch Radio.